Hey, so we're all homeowners here. Do you get solicitors knocking at your door?
Oh my God, just this weekend we had 3.
Okay, do solicitors have a special knock for you?
No, they ring the doorbell, actually.
Like, I feel like, well, yeah, they ring our doorbell, but then they also knock. And I feel like every solicitor here goes, ba, 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 ba,
Da.
ba, ba.
Yes.
And you're like,
Sure.
maybe they don't have the final
Yes.
ba, ba.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know?
It is definitely a da.
Yeah, I'm like, why? But then also, if we put a no solicitor sign up, because it's Texas, are they going to be like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't?
Right.
Or are they just going to be like,
Bang,
no,
blast,
it's fine.
blast.
Exactly, yeah. They're like, I don't know what kind of heat this house is packing, but we're in Texas, so they're probably packing some heat.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I never thought about it, but yeah, that is usually the knock that they come with.
It is.
My dad also knocks like that, so I'm wondering if it's just like a specific generational thing.
No, because these
Or your
solicitor
dad's
generations have been
selling something.
all over the place.
Selling, yeah. Anyways, I thought you were coming in. You came in with hot like ad read energy right there. So we're all homeowners, right? I was like, okay, where is this going?
You're like, did we get a sponsor I don't know about?
I was, and well, that was the thing. I was like, he doesn't have the headphone in, so he doesn't know that we haven't actually started the show. And I thought you were just coming right in, like we had just been doing the intro of the show, and you're just like, hey, we're all homeowners, right? Like you just found the right space to come in. So I thought that was very funny.
Are you tired of hearing solicitors hit your door with ba 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 ba?
Move to Texas and put up a no solicitor sign.
There are other red states that have open carry laws and things.
I live
Move
in
to
one
Oklahoma.
of them.
Buy
Stay
a
in
sign that
Indiana.
says, "Make my day, solicitor."
Yikes.
Oh, yikes.
Yikes.
You're listening to The Janchi Show, hosted by 3 Korean American adoptees diving headfirst into what it means to be adopted, Korean American, and more. And now, here's your hosts, Nathan, Patrick, and KJ.
Welcome back to the Janchi Show. It is good to be back with a solo episode. It's your boys, KJ, Nathan, Patrick, here. Excited to be hanging out with you on the internet airwaves. Side note, I just found out that the original internet radio apparently is still running and still has its same like UI from over 30 years ago or something. So that's cool. Anyways, fellas, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
I'm doing better. Not better than Patrick.
I was
I mean,
like,
just
whoa, didn't realize it was a competition.
One-up energy.
ago.
Yeah, yeesh.
That was bad timing.
Did not realize it was
I'm
a
doing
massive
the best.
competition.
Thanks no one for asking.
I meant better than I was 3 days ago.
You're doing great? Well, fuck off. I'm doing better.
Nobody cares,
that's funny.
Nathan.
You're only at 80%, operating 80%. So I think I'm doing better than you.
Okay.
I'm at least 85.
Okay, good.
For the listeners that don't have any context, Nathan, why are you only 80%?
I had food poisoning this weekend. Yay.
Hooray!
That's the kind of subdued enthusiasm that a sickness warrants.
That's
I
the
know.
coming
It's
out of
pretty much-
sickness.
Yeah, yeah.
That's perfect.
That's all I can muster.
I'm tired. It's been a while.
Yeah.
For me, at least. And for the show. When's the last time we released an episode?
It's true. Yeah, well, we had a guest episode that'll be releasing soon.
The end of May is the
End
last
of
time
May,
we released an episode.
That is right now.
I mean,
the end of
yes, it is right now.
Oh, right.
But then
It
I
is
don't know
right now.
when this episode drops.
That's a great point. It's not May anymore, probably, when people are listening to this.
Yeah. So
Or they could be listening to it May 2025.
maybe it's not. It's fine. This is all going to get cut.
Nope. Leave it in.
This time talk. Anyways, so yeah, it's the end of May as we're recording this. It's been a minute since the 3 of us have been together.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very
and
true.
it may be a minute from you guys understanding what the Janchi Show is, right?
Yeah, for any new listeners who might have stumbled upon it in the lead up to, I don't know, are we doing stuff on social media or whatever? Lead up to con, maybe?
Maybe. We
Lead
could.
up to con.
It's-
The road to
it's
con.
coming up soon.
Yeah.
That's what this
Um,
episode should be called. The road to con. And I don't know that we're going to talk
with an
about
H,
anything.
though.
With an
Yeah.
H. Con! Did we even define what it means?
No,
What does
did not.
Janchi mean?
Patrick, do you remember what Janchi means?
I do believe it means to feast and to banquet in the Korean language. And that is what we do
Thank
here.
you for specifying in the Korean language.
I mean, people might not have read any details about the show.
You're not wrong,
I just clicked on it.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And that is what we do at the end of the show. We feast and banquet on a snack or drink or something of Asian origin, generally Korean, not always. And prior to that, we feast and banquet and celebrate our shared identities as Korean American adoptees. Sometimes we do it together. Sometimes we invite a guest on and we celebrate with them and have fun conversations to talk about what this experience means to us. And that's the show. Janchi in Korean means feast or banquet. The show means everything else that I said after that.
Yeah, that's exactly what we do. And because our recording schedule has been all over the place, we have not had a non-expired food or drink item for a hot minute. But we found something with a long shelf life. So at the end of this episode, we do, in fact, have a food, which is exciting. So
I remember that stretch of year 2 where every product was expired.
Not every product, but there was definitely like a quarter or so. Yeah, like Q3.
That was pretty funny.
Q3 was like rough.
And the ones I was getting ready to send you are expired, so I might have to go buy new ones. So I don't know. It's okay.
We got to coordinate better on the back end for that.
In my mind, it's a suggested eat by date. So
that's what people say.
Yeah, it's not like you're sending anything that like is super fresh. This is very processed,
super perishable,
very shelf stable food.
Not like I'm sending you milk or something.
Please, please don't. But also maybe please do. What a prank!
Yeah.
Oh,
yum.
All right. So before we got on here, Nathan was telling us about a dream that he had that was going to lead us right into the show. So Nathan, tell us about your dream.
I tell you because I hadn't told you this yet. Almost
texted
you.
Of days gone by.
This is an interesting one. I don't know why, but maybe because I knew there are some people that were in Korea last week for the OKF event, and so I just was thinking about Korea a lot. But this morning I woke up and I had this random dream where KJ, John Hurley, myself, and Dan Matthews were riding around in a car in Korea.
Yeah, get wrecked, Patrick.
Looking for Korean fried chicken. Sorry, Patrick, you were probably taking care of the baby.
Hey,
in my mind, I was probably, he's out somewhere.
I appreciate that.
Possibilities. So, but in my dream, it was the 4 of us, and we were looking for some Korean fried chicken. We found some. We were eating it in the car. We went into a music store. I don't know. It was just really random. And it's just something I haven't really had like ever before that I can think of is having a random dream of 4, adoptees in Korea driving around. I mean, this is probably the first time. So have you guys had a lot of dreams about being in Korea?
Huh. That's
Good
interesting.
question.
I've never thought about like the weirdness of, I've probably never had a dream about me plus multiple Koreans, let alone me plus multiple adoptees being in our country of origin, just doing a thing. So that is very interesting. I will say I have not dreamed a dream like that because I do not often dream dreams like that. I'm going to figure out a way to stop double saying dream here in a second. But I recently had a weird dream about my impending daughter. So that was cool, I guess. But I don't have a lot of dreams generally. So no, not like in the night. I've probably had like daydreams of Korea but definitely not of adoptees, which I think is interesting. Like, I think that's honestly like the more interesting part of your dream to me is that it was with you and 3 other Korean adoptees specifically. You know what I mean? As opposed to just being in Korea. Like it's less the setting, more the people that I thought was interesting.
Could have been there with my family. I mean, I could have been there with a lot of other people.
Could have been there with anybody. Not me though. Because I was busy. Because I was busy. In the dream and in reality, I share the same responsibilities. Do you think that you don't dream? Or do you think that you dream and don't remember the dreams?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I mean, I assume I dream and don't remember them because there's nothing to tell me that I I don't do that.
Can you share the dream about your impending daughter? Or is that a personal, intimate memory?
Yeah, sure. So, just super weird. So I generally have, I think I've talked about this before. I don't have a strong mind's eye. So even like when I'm reading books, like people and characters aren't really fully formed in my brain, which I think is partially why I don't remember dreams. In this, I was holding my daughter, and I was looking down at her. My daughter was about the size of my palm. And so however many inches that is, like 6 inches. But her head was like abnormally large for the rest of her body, and her neck was incredibly skinny, like a pencil, but like rubbery. So it was kind of like it was like holding a baby whose head was just like bobbling all over not even bobbling, like bending all over the place. And I was like, I still got to hold the baby's head up because I don't want her neck to break or anything. But it was like all like tight finger movements. So, and I was just like, man, this is weird. That's it. That's the dream.
That's a great dream. I don't know what to interpret from that.
I don't think there's an interpretation.
I mean,
that's just a thing that happened.
Feared. I mean, I feared that when I first had my kids, is that I always had to support the head, and I was always really worried about that. So
and then you forgot the body.
Yeah. So maybe in my mind, or in your mind, you were like, the pencil neck was showing how fragile the neck could potentially be, and you were all worried about supporting that. I don't know. It's like you never know until you know.
I found that was a worry of mine as well, was head support. But I found that I think that instinctually your body just makes it to where you're making it good. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
That's not a thing that I worry about in my conscious life.
No, I know.
Like,
that's
I've
what I'm saying.
plenty of babies. Like it's very casual. It was more just like, I think it was, again, the size thing and the like the super loopy, bendy. I mean, it was like one of those like fan people in front of like a car. Yeah. No. Like the draw
wacky
your attention.
Wavy inflatable tube man.
Yeah, Sarah and I just call it an oogly boogly because that's what I meant.
Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man.
Yes.
Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man.
If it could make a sound, I just imagine it would be like.
That's kind of the sound that makes my kid laugh now. He's starting to laugh. We've gotten giggles.
Oh, nice.
Got the
Very
gigs.
fun. Very fun. But I go or something like that. What is this podcast? What is happening right now? Hold on. I got to answer your question real quick. Sorry I sidetracked us wanting to know about KJ's dream. I had a dream. Now, the only one in Korea conscious dream that I can remember is one that I think I've told on the show before. It was like not long after I'd gotten back in July, or after I was there in July. And I don't know what was going on, but like a bunch of us were there. It was like a bunch of adoptees. We were in Korea, and one of my best friends from here was there. Like a bunch of my friends from here were there for some reason. And one of the adoptees that we were with was being hunted by an assassin. So we had to Call of Duty style fight the assassin across other rooftops. And then we won, and it was awesome. But then like the building we were in turned into a hospital for some reason. And I walked in to get something for one of my friends, and I come across my grandma, my grandpa, and that I haven't seen, like, I don't know, just in a dream. It was really wild, but it was like the first time that I had a dream of my grandma, and she like spoke to me, and it was really emotional and powerful. But it was all happening in Korea for some reason. Probably because I had just recently come back from there. But that was the only time I can ever consciously remember having dreamt being in Korea. Everything else is just like a nebulous place. I feel like it's a no place.
Yeah. That's the thing. I don't think I've thought about being back in Korea for a while. And maybe it was just because I knew people who had been in Korea last week, but it's just something that I wonder, I do want to go back, and I wonder if the more yearning I have to go back and visit again will cause more dreams, or maybe the dream is caused just by the short-term memory and this and that. But the follow-up to that is I also remember more than one dream a night typically, and I had another dream when I woke up. I woke up from that dream. Usually I wake up at least a couple times during the night, but I had another dream in the morning. Sorry, not to flex. I had another dream that I remembered, and it was a random one. It was just me in Wisconsin, which is where some of my family live, and we were over for dinner, and then my family members invited 4 local Koreans to come say hi to me, and we're introducing them to me. So that was a secondary dream.
All right, that's a strange dream. That's a strange follow-up dream.
It's also like a deeply Midwest dream.
Yeah,
you know, the first question is like, "Oh, do you know Nathan's parents? Do you know him?" Like, no.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
So that was the second dream I had. So 2 Korean dreams in one night. So I don't know what's going on, but
you were Korea on the brain. Korea on the brain. I've been thinking about like taking Van back for the first time, and like thinking like, okay, I don't know. I guess I really
like
thought about
taking Van.
Taking my son named Van.
He's not been there before.
Oh yes,
he's not going
Korea
back.
for the first time.
He's in his native land right now.
Correct. He is the definition of Korean American.
Yeah.
Yes, going there with him and experiencing that, because I've also been thinking about. Lately, I just wrote about this, but lately I feel like I've been moving very easily as an Asian person. And for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm not forcing or trying, especially this month, like trying to go to all these events or do all these things and just be as Asian American as I possibly can be. Like, I feel like I've just like a lot of that weight or whatever feels gone. I'm just like moving through. I feel very comfortable and at ease in this version of myself that I am. And part of that has still been this reckoning with the lack of connection to Korean culture specifically, and thinking about how I'm going to like get over that as like we continue to grow, because as he's like getting bigger now, it's like time is starting to dawn in my brain a little bit of like, you know, at some point you're going to have to like confront this. And like, it's been easy to do like through the newborn phase of like not having to really think about it. And also because I do feel very secure in my identity, like more than I ever have. But for some reason, like Korea just came up, and I don't know if it was okay for something. I think I might have been talking to Rick Allen, and that was why. But my mind went to like, oh, our first time back, and thinking about, oh, what can I extend to my kid? And I don't know why that just popped up, but I don't really have anything to say off of that other than it's just something that's really like I hadn't really thought about ever, even during pregnancy, even when I was in Korea, having known that we were like newly pregnant. Not really thinking about, what would it be like to travel back with my kid. My thoughts have just been very rooted here in Indiana and in the US. And now I just have a little like in the back of my mind, because we've been talking about traveling too, like wanting to travel more. I'm like, I wonder when Korea would make it onto the list. And it's like, am I going to be a good guide for him when we get there? Or am I also going to be like, you guide me?
You're like, I need a Sherpa. And also, I want to be a Sherpa, but I need a Sherpa to Sherpa you.
Exactly.
To Sherpa my Sherpa-ing. Sherpa-ing. Sherpa's a funny word. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. And I didn't even think about it until I watched a K-drama, and they were like, they referenced Sherpa. And I was like, oh, man, what a good word.
A good word.
Sorry, Nathan. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, I gotta ask my kids. Actually, I haven't done this yet, but being that they're Korean, Chinese, and Japanese, I should ask them which country would they like to visit first, if they had a choice between those 3. I'd be curious to see what
that's interesting.
Say.
They'd be like the one with Pikachu.
Probably. Where's the one with all the video games?
Where's the one that I can see Pikachu at?
That'll probably be a strong influence. I mean, they also love, they love certain foods that.
What's the one with the white rice?
Yeah, exactly. Which is the one with the spam musubi?
Where's the? That's Hawaii.
That would be Hawaii.
It'd be none of these places.
We don't even. Yeah, it's like,
and we already go there.
Hooray! That's funny. Actually, you saying that brought up another thing that was on my mind. That's adjacent to this, because if I'm hearing you correctly, it sounds like you're more than just like wanting to take your kid back. It's take your kid and go back yourself. It's more like, how do I pass on Koreanness, Korean culture to a child for whom it is a part of the fabric of their life and what makes them who they are, right? Like you want to have your Mufasa moment, right?
Right.
And so you take Van to Korea and go, everything the light touches is yours. but then it's also like, but how do you bring that back home or whatever? I was listening to my Straight White American Jesus podcast, and the co-host who was doing the interview is 7th generation Japanese American interviewing a person who wrote a book called The Ex-Evangelicals, and in it they're talking about leaving the church and how the church in North America is so dominantly white. Like when you think about like the dominant idea of Christianity, you usually think of a white church, and you usually think of evangelical church, and you usually think of, whatever. And when a person leaves that, especially a white person, when you leave evangelical Christianity in North America, you're left with not a lot of culture because of assimilation. And so like the author is like, yeah, like my family like is Irish and Scottish and whatever, like we've got some things, Italian maybe. And so like even like the Italians, when they came over, the Irish, when they came over, they discarded a lot of their culture because they were all trying to assimilate. They were all trying to conform to whiteness so that they would, literally move up economically and out of like rise above their station and provide better lives for the kids, which makes sense at the time, blah, blah, blah. But then flash forward to now, when you leave that, you're like, well, how do I celebrate the death of a loved one? How do I celebrate the winter time or the New Year's time? Because I don't have any culture to fall back on beyond just Christianity. And the host was like, yeah, like for me, like being Hawaiian and Asian American, Japanese American and all that stuff, like when we do funerals, like everyone shows up in a Hawaiian shirt because like that's part of our own like family culture and how we do things. And we have like other things beyond just the Christianity of it that help us celebrate life moments, annual moments, whatever, that kind of thing. And it's really made me think about kind of to your point, Patrick, about like what's the process of interweaving Koreanness, Asian Americanness with like the cultural identity that makes up our families. Now that all of us have families, have children, or I'm about to, just kind of that like intentional process, And I know that we probably talked about this some earlier when Patrick, you were still in pregnancy mode, and I was like, "What are you thinking about this?" But it just like really became apparent to me, especially doing a celebration of life ceremony for my wife's maternal grandmother. We did a very Christian service, even while I don't necessarily say I'm super Christian, and so that was like interesting. Like that was the only bit of quote unquote culture. I mean, it is culture, I guess, but quote unquote culture to lean on to celebrate the passing of a loved one. Whereas like maybe historically there would have been like, if it was a Korean thing, there would have been some other things, maybe, I mean, steeped maybe in another religion, but other kind of cultural markers, ways to celebrate that. So it was just interesting to think about like the blending of culture, the lack thereof, and what that means for how we do things. And it really reinvigorated my own desire to like observe Seollal, to observe Chuseok, to observe like all those kinds of like Korean things, not because I'm like super in it necessarily, but because it's a part of who I am and a part of where I come from and wanting to provide that for my family moving forward.
Yeah, I think it's for me, I appreciate you sharing all that. I feel like it's exactly where kind of the headspace that I've been in is like, I just recently gave a talk about what does it mean to be Asian American, or like how do I define what does Asian American mean to me? And for me, like the definition that I'm currently on is like Asian American means I get to choose, I get to be the person I choose myself. And we talked about this pre-birth of child, but it was basically it was a post AKASF Beta LA, when we talked about after Jason Chu gave his presentation about opting in to that identity, like that really resonated with me and stuck with me. And I think that thinking about the Koreanness of it all. So what I've really been thinking about is like, when I look at my son, I can only see the future, because I can't look back on my own familial lineage and see any past. There is no history there. I can only see what's ahead of us. And so by the very nature of that situation, and by me finding the definition of Asian American that works best for me, which is really like I get to make the choice of like the history I celebrate, what I choose, and how it informs what I do. Like, it's the realization of, I don't know, it's just trying to like understand in the same way that you're like, it made me feel like you wanted to lean in more to Salal and Chusuk, like trying to really figure out my own way and how that fits into this definition. Because and then again, the definition that my son will, or my children will have for themselves, because it will probably be different. It might be the same, but like, especially when I think about when I've been thinking about recently, how do I interweave? It's really been like, okay, I guess I just have to model what it means to come up with a definition and then try and live into that and then redefine. And like, so for example, one of the things, I think we might be past it now, but the BioThe, the 100-day celebration.
Mm-hmm. Bake.
We didn't bake. We didn't do that. Yeah. We didn't do that. And I was like, I didn't even really think about it until I think Emily even brought it up. But it's just like, in those moments, I'm like, am I being intentional about not celebrating it because that's not what fits what I'm trying to do right now? Or is it like, am I unintentionally missing opportunities to interweave the specific ethnic culture on top of, like, again, the definition that I'm creating of what it means to be Asian American and why I define myself as Asian American first, ahead of like being Korean American. Does that make sense? I don't know if any of that made sense because I've just been kind of like working through it recently, but
yeah,
no, I think
what you're talking about. Yeah.
I mean, what you also said is, like you said, it's up to us to create what we want to create for ourselves and our own families. And I think that's if you think about it, I mean, I've wrestled with this for the last, 8 years, and the parts that I was like, what do I want to incorporate? What parts do I not know about? And some of those things frustrated me, made me, I was like, oh, this is the tragic, parts of not knowing my culture more. I don't get to incorporate them into my children's lives. I have to kind of discover them on my own to then pick and choose which ones I do want to incorporate. And it definitely has been a challenge, but it's also kind of in a way exciting to a point also where I am creating that tradition. I'm creating what they will remember and what will stick with them. So in a sense, it's up to me as the parent to create these memories for them if they want to continue them year after year. And of course, with the help of fusing it with my wife's traditions, which luckily she does have some as well that we incorporate every year and for holidays. And so it's exciting, but it's also, it's one of those things that I think adoptees have to go through is, do we want to choose or do we want to, just not, it's up to us. So I think to each their own on that. And yeah.
Well, and it's so interesting too, because like, I think, any adoptee, any interracial, international adoptee is going to come into contact with this kind of thing, right? Where they come to full consciousness, they realize they've been stripped of their culture, and so they go out seeking that culture again. And when it's just the individual, it's like very much, I think, like what Patrick you're saying, where it's like I can just choose to do this how I want to, and that's going to be my authentic expression of who I am and how I experience my culture, right?
Right.
As soon as you get another life form involved, whether that's a partner or a child or anything, then like you run the risk of like somebody looking at you and getting that judgment, getting that like, oh, like, are you going to do the Baekhyun celebration for your kid? And you're like, what the F is that? And then you look it up, and then you're like, oh, bike ill? Is that?
What'd you call me?
Bike ill? Am I supposed to buy a bike for my kid? Whatever that is. Like, you run the risk of like somebody else knowing more about your own culture than you and that making you feel bad, or someone else like being like, no. And then you're like, no, I've decided not to do that. And then they're like, why? And then you're like, I don't want to do it. You like, there's just like become all these kinds of things, right? Which I think is interesting. But it is, I think with like you said, Patrick, like the idea of having a child, having children, looking forward exclusively. And I think it's almost like even though it can be really frustrating to hear it, in your case, Nathan, Allison might be like, I don't know, we've just always done this. And then your family just kind of rolls with it because you're like, okay, we've always done this. That's fine. That's enough reason to continue doing a thing, right? And it's weird to be consciously at the start of a tradition and be like, this is what we're going to do.
Right.
So that maybe in 40 years,
right,
my children will be like, I don't know, we just always did this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's weird to be at the precipice of that. And I think that that's where it is kind of, and I feel that tension of Asian American versus just Korean American. Like, I'm like, I want my kids to be able to speak Spanish because we live in Texas and that's so important. And also, like, do we celebrate, like, how do we handle Asian Americanness? And I kind of think of it, and I'm so deeply grateful. I should probably tell her this. I'm so deeply grateful to Stephanie Dranka and the work that she's doing here in Dallas, with Dallas Asian Historical Society, because I think of it as my, like, literally my own heritage. Like, the Roelkes, the Korean American Roelkes, may not have a ton of history, but we Asian Americans in Dallas have a lot of history. And like, that's the part that we continue to stand on. That's the part that we can, like, grow and, like, be a part of, right? That's the Asian Americanness of it, is whether it's South Asians or West Asians or East Asians or North Asians or Central Asians, like, in Dallas, we have been here. We will continue to be here. Like, that's the heritage that we fall back on, and I love that Stephanie is working so hard to unearth and to preserve, even while she is continuing to persevere and towards the future of doing Asian stuff in Dallas, basically. So I think it's just, like, kind of navigating, even, like, when we're talking about preparing the nursery, like, we found some prints of the Korean alphabet and the English alphabet, and be like, yes, that's exactly the kind of thing that I want to be there in the nursery, just so that's in the backdrop, in the texture and the fabric of our children's lives, is always kind of this thing, even while, like, we eat tamales on Christmas Eve because of my grandpa, which is a very Mexican tradition, and we do tteokguk on New Year's because that's what Koreans do. Like, I want to have those traditions and want it to be very important. And I'm also being like, I need to buy a hanbok. Where do I buy a hanbok? And then it's the question of, like, do I get a super traditional hanbok? Do I try to go with, like, a more modern take? Like, all that kind of stuff,
Bro, you hit that shit right on the head when you talked about, like, your history and your heritage being tied up in the Dallas Asian American story. That is exactly, like, how I feel about Indianapolis and, like, the work that I'm trying to do and community that I'm trying to build right now. That is literally, I wish I could have spoken it as well as you just spoke it, because I will take that literally word for word and just change Dallas to Indianapolis.
Yeah, just do a find and replace for Dallas, Indianapolis. That's, like, what we're talking
seriously,
about.
That is exactly it. Because, like, when I talk about, I can't see that past. Like, the past that I see is all broad. It's all of Korean history. It's all of Asian American history. Right. But yes, exactly that. Like, as we sit at the precipice of new traditions, of being the first, something I didn't ask to do, but we're put in this position to do so.
Yeah.
Exactly. It is that, okay, again, it takes me back to last year and just realizing I'm in Indianapolis for a reason. And that reason is because part of, like, Indiana, it's specifically just part of my own history that influences and feeds into everything that the future holds for me, which is my kid, hypothetically more kids, who knows? Like, that is what that is. And that's why I'm so passionate about it right now. And hopefully for the rest of my life, I'll be passionate about building this community up, because it's like, this is what I can give to our kids, not just my kids, but any kids that come up that are from this diaspora or even other diasporas. It's just like, oh shit, that the Asian community rides for whoever, like, when stuff goes down. And to know that, like you said, like, I might not seemingly not have a history here, but this community does. And we just don't know it right now. And it takes people like Stephanie Dranka, like the people who have been doing it here in Indiana, to, like, preserve it it takes people to be willing to do that when a lot of these larger organizations are unwilling to come into these places to try and do those things. So I appreciate you saying that. It just got me real hyped up because I'm like, damn, dude, that's like, mwah, chef's kiss. I could not have said it better myself.
I've never been able to fully crystallize and like express as well as I just did why I loved being a part of what Stephanie's doing beyond just being like, I'm supporting another adoptee, right? But what I've heard just in hanging out with her, going to some of the events, and I mean she's out here doing the most, and I have not been to more events than events that I have been to, but the few that I have been able to be a part of, one of the things that's been really interesting to me is hearing Asian Americans, Asian Texans, Asian Dallasites say, I want to, like, I used to love living in Dallas. I used to love Texas, or I love being here and I want to fight for it, or all those kinds of things. And it's so like moving away, becoming a different person, and then returning back here has just been so weird, for lack of a better term, because I'm so different and I feel a lot of different, feel a lot of ways about Texas and I feel a lot of ways about Dallas, and I feel a lot of envy for other hubs like in LA or a New York or whatever, where I feel like there's more culture. Honestly, just like the fact that I live, maybe this is just on me. No, because I feel like it's different. Like I was gonna say, I do live close to a lot of Koreans, but I feel like the Asian American scene that I'm looking for in Dallas is just like non-existent. It's a lot of immigrant communities, but it's not the historical, like, oh, we've been here for generations, even though clearly to Stephanie's work, we have been. And so it's just been like, it's been interesting, like hearing all those things and realizing this is where my history is, and realizing I can fall in love with this place again. And I don't have to reject who I am. I don't have to assimilate into whiteness. I don't have to assimilate into a specific way of being, a specific language, any of that, for all of those things to happen. So yeah, that was just like, and I'm so interested. Like, I know, Patrick, you were like, we've been here in Indy, so like, and I don't know our history because we don't necessarily have an archivist or a historian looking that up. But I'm curious, like, what the cultural festivals are like in y'all's respective cities. Like, do you have little pockets of, and not even like cultural festivals, because it's honestly, it's probably too big. Do you have like an area, a restaurant, a group of people that are like, oh, hey, we're celebrating this because in Vietnamese culture it's this, or we're doing a special sale because like Chinese New Year, or any of those kinds of things, like where y'all are at? Like, can you think of local specific examples that are like, oh yeah, I'm actually going to go maybe a little bit out of my way to support this, or to attend this, or to be part of this because of that?
Yes. So one of the big things that I've learned about as it pertains to the community here is that we do have a lot of those things are just siloed in their own areas. So yeah, the Vietnamese community does have their own things that they do. The Filipino community has a lot of different things that they do. The Korean and Chinese communities, they do their own things. Like the Burmese community, they do their own thing. Like everybody's doing their own thing, but rarely, I think, are we making attempts to frequent those things ourselves. And what I found at the last big gathering, or I'll actually say the only big gathering in Indiana or in Indianapolis of Asian diasporic communities, I just ran through real quick. I'm like, I just want to meet everybody because I'm working on this project. I want to be like, let's get involved. And everybody had something going on. Everybody's like, we have this event coming up in June. We have this event coming up in June. And I'm like, and all I could sit and think of is like, why don't we know about this more? And why is it like, it is on the organization and the community to promote their own event, But why aren't we as a community, as a broader Asian diaspora or diasporic community, willing to, like, why aren't we supporting that too? If not in attendance, then at least amplification. Because everybody is saying everybody is welcome to these events. But when you talk to people about who's showing up at the events, or when you show up there yourself and you look around, it always ends up just being that community, which is great. And it's like, I want to figure out how we build those bridges and bring the community together to be more cohesive, to create an Asian American community in a way that is non-existent in Indianapolis as well.
Food. That's one way of bringing them together.
Sure, I assume that you would travel just about anywhere to try new foods.
Yes.
So
the events that are the largest here in Colorado, I would say, revolve around food. I mean, there's some things. There's the Dragon Boat Festival out here, and that has a fairly large following. But recently I went to the Ramen Festival, which, was great. That's because fun. It was an amazing event. For the fact that it had, I want to say, 20 ramen vendors. That was all you can eat, all you could drink, and you just paid an admission fee to get into this thing. And you walked around with this little cup and chopstick fork thing, and they would just serve you up some ramen. And I ate so much ramen that day, I was almost sick. But
wait, what is a chopstick fork?
It's chopsticks on one end and a fork or spork and a knife on the other end. So.
Wow, yeah, that is a utility doing the most.
I kept it because it's actually really cool.
So. I love this idea. I'm going to need to speak to you more off air about it.
But they had all kinds of vendors there. They had alcohol vendors that were selling like yuzu style drinks. Kind of some Asian seltzers and things. But they also had local vendors doing vodka. They had a lot of food trucks that were like Asian inspired as well. They did have a couple vendors, but I wouldn't say they were Asian specific. I wished that would be my one change, is that they added more in the little area for merchandise and stuff, that they added more Asian vendors, like, I don't know, jewelry, t-shirts, art, things like that. They did have a few, but I think if they had even more, it would have been even better. And then they had performances. They had taiko drumming. They had singers and I don't know if they had something else, but it was a little more Japanese centered. But it was really cool that it was an event and it was food, and there was not just Japanese community members there. This was so big and so many people were there. It was actually pretty cool to see. They also had a Taste of Korea out here recently. I don't know how well that one went. It might have actually been canceled now that I think about it. Yes, I think it was canceled because it was on a stormy day. But the idea was there. The idea that they were going to have like, K-pop, Korean food and other vendors and things like that. Again, it was a nice idea, bringing people out there to at least introduce other people who may not have, been to a Korean restaurant or things like that. So, and they have a cherry blossom festival. So there's a few things out here that I do see. And of course, for me, if it's surrounding food, I'm definitely more interested in it.
Yeah.
But and there's a couple organizations too that have small pockets, like you said, Patrick. Too. There's like there's a Vietnamese area. There's actually a fairly large Hmong community out here, and so they they actually had a couple of restaurants too that I went to once. But I'm trying to explore. The different areas. I'm just sad that the Korean district is probably the furthest from me. It's like 45 minutes to an hour away. But they have like a Korean food hall out there that's like just like a giant food court kind of place, but it has all Korean type food. So like different types of dalgona coffees and then gimbaps and soups and things like that. But it's all like, I don't know, like 10 different restaurants inside this like really cool food hall. So I wish that was closer.
Yeah. All right. I just talking about this. I remember going to. I don't even remember if it wasn't like a protest or anything. It was just like it was a gathering in solidarity with like a ceasefire for Gaza, and it was just like a thing. And I was like, what am I doing here? there's an event by Dallas Asian Historical Society. And I was like, I mean, I'm here. I'm happy to support a thing that my friend is doing. But like, what does my just being here do? And I had some real, like, not imposter syndrome. Not like I was not impostering myself. It was, I guess, like attender syndrome. Like, I was just like, yeah, what am I doing here? What am I doing here eating food? Like, what good does that do to the world? Mm-hmm. And then someone got up and spoke and said, the diversity and the number of people here speaks volumes. And I was like, oh, yeah, it really matters to just be one of 100, one of 10, one of 1,000 people at an event. It really matters to just show up and eat food and say thank you, or say this is so good, or, you know, any of those kinds of things. Because like, it is literally you being there that shows support, that encourages people. And I forget, like, when you see people who do the most, or when you see big gatherings and things, when the world is on fire, like it, and you're not able to go for any number of reasons, or you're not able to feel like, I don't know, maybe other people don't have as much need to feel like I need to go do something good in the world. But it's just like, it gave me like a sense of like, what am I even doing with my life? Right. Like, I guess a question of worthiness. And I just wanted to say, like, when I had that moment at this dumpling shop, not only was I educated, not only was I well fed, but I was moved and was like really proud to just be one of the 40, one of the 50 people that were there, you know, and to be a diversification of the people who were there. Yeah, that was just really lovely. And I realized, like, I don't know, I just like, not that I didn't know that there was power in numbers, just that I was like really grateful to be reminded of that, I guess. And just to be like, oh yeah, without me, it would have been, maybe it was like, what would have been 1 in 50 would have been like 1 in 40, you know, like, right. You know, like that, it is literally the showing up that can be so important and can make a difference. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there as a reminder that like simple attendance still is attendance, still is support, still is a thing, right? Like even the small, simple things of like, I don't know, see a post and put it in your story and say like, is anybody interested? This is going on. Like that's a very simple way to continue to get the word out, continue to support, even if you cannot yourself attend. So
yeah. Because if no one goes, then they won't have them again. And that's, I mean,
yeah,
a lot of the time. So that's, for me, I would rather have them and have the option to go than not have any options.
What does that sound?
Sounds like we should go to a food.
Sound like someone's getting ready to explode. Psh, that's what I heard.
All right, well, Patrick's hearing things, so we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to jump in with a non-expired snack item.
Yikes.
Welcome back to the Janchi Show. Oh, it's been a long time since we've had a snack. I'm happy to be back.
It's been a long time without you, my friend.
Sorry.
What?
Isn't that how it goes?
It's because these are little head creatures. Okay.
Wow. Little head creatures.
Like little head koala bears. Okay,
Nathan,
so
what
today's
are we eating?
snack. Yeah, I'll just skip the mystery. It is a lotte product, Koala's March. It is mango cream filled little cookies. They look like those panda bears where
like koalas?
No, but there's another. Oh yeah, but there's another one that's like that. Panda bears.
It says enjoy the game.
Ooh, with this message card. Interesting.
I thought when you held that up, there was like a hole in your box where the koala's nose is, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
I don't know, so but they support SaveTheKoala.com. It's an Australian foundation. This is actually a product of Thailand, but you know, Lotte is a Korean company, so
it counts.
Probably. It counts.
Who is the koala?
Who is this
what's
koala?
The game?
You can see identity on the bottom of the box and use it as the message card. What? Rush for a goal. So does that mean go to the bottom of the box or eat your way to the bottom of the box?
I don't understand. It's like it's a mystery.
Used by
snack.
LT1.
Food and a show. I don't know what that means.
Okay, well, I thought it was going to be easy to open, but now I don't know if it's so easy to open. Okay.
So I bet it's inside the box is where the answer is.
Individually wrapped.
Nope. Just kidding.
Nope.
I'm not seeing anything.
Oh, I bet it's on the bottom of the main box. Is there like a big box these all came in?
No.
What the? All right, I'm not gonna lie. This thing had me until I saw it was mango.
Whoa!
And then I wish it was chocolate.
Tear it.
Soccer koala.
Oh, you have to tear the bottom. There's another.
That's cute.
There's another one down there. Oh yeah,
that's on the bottom.
Oh yeah.
I got a soccer koala.
I did too.
Okay, trick freaking thing. I am 34 years old. How was I supposed to figure this out?
It did say at the bottom of the box.
Soccer koala.
But besides the game that just thoroughly confused us for 5 minutes, the snack is pretty tasty too. So,
all right.
It is, as it says on the front, artificially mango cream flavored. It does taste a little artificial.
I wish it was chocolate.
But it's crunchy.
But it is crunchy.
Crunchy.
And it is not that terrible.
No, it's
not that terrible. So resounding endorsement from Patrick.
NTT.
And they have cute little koala bears on the pillows of.
Oh, it smells very artificially mango-y.
Yeah. Notice they all have holes in the back of them, and I wonder that must be where they fill the filling. Huh.
Oh yeah, it's cute.
And it's pretty tasty. It's like almost like a mango chocolate.
Oh, and they have different little koalas on them.
Yeah, they're all different.
Uh-oh.
What?
This hits like artificial pina colada flavor.
Pina colada.
Oh, I'm drunk.
Which sometimes gives me like a weird minor allergic reaction.
Oh, I'm allergic.
That's less than
I can't breathe.
I can't breathe.
My throat feels funny.
Actually, I had that experience this morning with a banana, but that's a whole nother story.
Is it?
I don't know. Are people allergic to bananas? Because I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I might have been this morning. So,
what? You might have been allergic to banana.
You might have been, and then you got over it?
I might have been allergic just to the one banana I had this morning because my mouth started tingling. It was weird. So I don't know what it was about. But I don't know. These are pretty tasty. I'm sure my kids are gonna love the rest of this bag. So it reminds me of the other panda.
Hello Panda? Is that what it's called?
Hello Pandas, yes. Yeah, with the chocolate in it, but this is just the mango koala version. All right, that's good. I don't know. I'll start. I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5. I would eat them. Pretty tasty. About what I expected. What do you guys think? Are you allergic yet? Is that going to decrease your rating?
It gives me that same sensation. Like, I think if I eat too much coconut and or pineapple, I get like kind of a sensation in like the back of my, like in my throat, kind of back of my tongue area. I don't know, like it doesn't react super well. So it gives me a similar type of sensation, which is less than ideal. I will say I really love the koalas, like the little like cookie itself, I think is delicious. The cream, I'm with Patrick. I wish it was chocolate or probably anything else. I would have taken strawberry, would have taken probably just strawberry or vanilla cream.
They have other flavors too. So
yeah, so I think the mango is really the thing that's not great, but the outer shell tells me I would like this product generally. It's been a long time since I've had Hello Panda, so maybe it's a very similar texture. But yeah, like the mouthfeel is generally good and it breaks well. It's just very artificial and very a lot up in my mouth. So yeah, 2.5 probably for my rating, right down the middle.
Down the middle. Hey, I'm going to give it a 3, basically for all the same reasons that KJ said. But I'm about done with these. So I do wish it was chocolate or any other flavor.
Okay.
Like, I think. But overall, I mean, it's all right.
I had to mix it up. I can't always get you guys chocolate and strawberry.
I mean,
No,
you can.
I mean, like, I like mango.
Oh, sorry.
I just don't like.
Yeah, me
this
too.
is not.
Oh, okay.
Not hitting that.
Yeah. No, artificial mango is different. I agree.
Yeah.
Just like artificial banana, it never does it for me. I just can't. I can't have anything artificial banana and really say this is good.
Like Laffy Taffy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just...
Yeah, I had to go higher because I already ate all mine.
Oh, speaking of Laffy Taffy, this gives me, it must be like the artificial milk, maybe. It gives me the same like mouth, like throat sensation as the Laffy Taffy, where it like coats it in a way that I feel like I can't breathe quite as fully. Like I need to go eat something.
That's interesting.
else.
I know you're talking about with the Laffy Taffy. I don't get that with this product.
Really? Okay. I do, but
I know the sensation that you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's got that I can't breathe flavor.
Resounding endorsement from both Patrick and KJ.
Well, we've done upwards of 160 some episodes now.
Woo.
It's a lot.
We sound tired and defeated.
No, we have
defeated by the artificial mango flavoring.
Yeah.
But
the I can't breathe / maybe allergic to thisness of it.
This may be our last episode. Sorry.
If you've been enjoying this conversation and you want to listen to more conversations like it, upwards of 160 of them, you can do so at JanchiShow.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're on the website, make sure you check out the merch that we have up there. Make sure you check out other cool things that we have going on over there. If you are on the podcast players, make sure you leave us a rating or review. If you are enjoying what you are listening to, you can follow us on all social media platforms at Janchi Show. You can send us messages via voice and text to 902-677-8860. No. 972
677-8867.
972. What was it? 972-677-8867. Or you can send us an email to janchishow@gmail.com. That's about it. Where you have con stuff coming up. I don't know when this episode's coming out, but I'm assuming it's before con. So everybody shout out Nathan for all of his hard work. The con-tator, as we like to call him.
Con team.
Do we?
There's a lot of con.
The con team.
I am just one sprocket.
What?
Oh, there's a world where this comes out on Loving Day. So
we missed the mark by not talking about that.
It's either Loving Day or Juneteenth. So either way, 2 big Wednesdays coming up.
Big Wednesdays coming up. Well, I hope you all enjoy the big Wednesdays coming up. And if you're listening to this show, thank you. Now, please go enjoy your celebrations. And until next time,
Janchi.
I forgot I had that board.
Wait, did we do individuals?
Oh, shit, no.
That's why I was like, wait a minute. I don't think we've done this right.
Anyways, if you want to find out all the stuff that I'm working on, you could do so at Patrick in the World on most social media platforms. PatrickInTheWorld.me is my website. ConversationPeacePod.com is my other podcast website. Check that out.
Which is Conversation Peace Pod. Not
Conversation Peace Pod.
Peace Pod. The way you said it, you said Conversation Peace Pod. And so I thought of it as PEACE, like peace out. But it's Conversation Peace.
Now I'm understanding why the AI captions might be spelling it out that way.
Oh.
Might be my inflection.
There you go.
Interesting.
Or you could be talking about peas.
It has never corrected it to PEA''S.
That is how homophones work, though. So we're basically English language masters.
Whoa.
Yes. You can find me at Nowalk on Instagram.
Find me at KJ Roelke, wherever I want to be found on the internet.
On the internet. Dum, dum, da, dum, dum, dum.
And look forward to seeing you all at con.
We look forward to seeing you at con. Happy Loving Day if this is Loving Day. Happy Juneteenth if it's Juneteenth.
Happy Wednesday if it's Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday if you're listening to this on a Wednesday. And until next Wednesday, Janchi.
Heyo.